While I'm here, I'm going to freeball a video on, I keep coughing, on the idea and like the fear of death. I just did a video on Kant, pretty baseline, not that good, but it's going to get me started. The fear of death. The reason I'm talking about this is what's interesting is I had a conversation about this with my buddy, and he was kind of explaining to me, he's of the same manner and mind of me, but we are completely different in the thought process of the fear of death. And there's a lot of unique thoughts when it comes to the fear of death. The fear of death is, personally, I don't see it, but it might be me. It could just be me saying I don't see it, and subconsciously deep down I do have this like irrational fear, not irrational, but this fear of not existing. But the way my buddy explained it, which is unique, because I think he was actually, now that I think about it, he was probably arguing it more in an egoist way, where he was scared that he wasn't going to experience the friendships and the beautiful memories and all these things eternally, right? Forever. Everything is not going to exist afterwards. Coming from unreligious people, me and him both think that life kind of just ceases. It's kind of just like pre-birth. That's kind of what we both think happens. But the thing is, he has a fear of it, or had like a little bit of a crisis moment. He does have a fear of it, I think, still. And where I just kind of think, I don't know where that fear comes from, because we actually don't know what happens. And I think he had such a moment so extreme that it kind of not crippled him, but pushed him onto this idea of, well, I need to have this fear because this sucks that this is going to end someday. And while that be true, it is going to end someday. We don't know what the other side looks like. And that's what Socrates himself, posed, is that why are people so scared of death? We have no idea what happens after death. Which is very true. We don't know what happens after death, but we understand that we're not here. That's the only thing we can very much claim, is that we are not here. And we do not exist anymore, or exist, right? We are not on this plane of earth, and we do not get to experience life anymore with our loved ones, which is a very big factor. It's very sad. What I kind of want to get into is the religious aspect, is why we have this fear of death. And I would argue a lot of people do have this fear, and I would argue a lot of people are religious. So I'm curious as to the rationale behind it. Is I think religion has almost pushed us to that brink of fear of death, not like purposefully, but, and I don't know how, because let's say you're Christian, right? How are you fearing death if you're supposed to be going to this blessed eternal holy land called heaven? Is it because there is a chance that you go to eternal hell? That would be pretty terrifying, I suppose. But the goal of religion is to get up there. Now, I guess you could state that most Christians probably don't live a very Christian life. And I will agree with you that I see that constantly, but I'm not here to judge. My point, though, is I don't understand the fear. I don't understand the rationality to the fear, because honestly, it kind of loops back to my first video of consciousness doing this thing to us. Why do we have the fear of death? I think it's simply biological, is that our being wants to continue, but at what point can it finally accept it? Because I think there are people who lay on their deathbeds and they're like, cool, I'm done. Is that because they're fulfilled? I don't know. Is that because they think they're fulfilled? What if someone is so fulfilled in life but doesn't realize it? Someone has done everything, but they lay on their deathbed and they're just like, I don't want to die. What happens? Why is there a disconnect in the brain? Is it because you have convinced yourself so much, or can convince yourself so much, that you had a fulfilling life, that you aren't afraid of the beyond? Does religion play a factor? I know there's a frequent thought experiment that gets thrown around, that a lot of atheists actually end up praying to God on their deathbed. I'm curious to see if I will be one of them. And it's unique because it kind of does come back to Pascal's wager, right? The ultimate gamble is gambling against the thought of God. Because what happens? Pascal's wager basically suggests, okay, if you believe in God and you live a Christian life, or X hundreds of religions ways, then you just live kind of a moral life, and whatever morality is to said religion, but you live that good life and you continue, and then you just die and you don't exist, or you get into heaven or eternal blessed land. I don't know. I don't know. It's like a neutral or a win. However, on the other side, if you don't believe and you live a life of unbelieving and sin, if you want to call it, because you don't believe, you're either neutral or you're losing, and you are burning for eternity. I don't know. Pascal's wager was one of the few things that made a big imprint on me to suggest that I should believe in God, because it's a big gamble, but I'm a gambling man. I like to gamble. Jokes aside, it didn't fully convince me, just because there's so many things unique with like religion that I can't get behind, and I can't understand the omnipotence part. Is a God like really all loving and all powerful? He can't be all loving and all powerful, right? He wouldn't do that to us. If he's all powerful, then it's kind of evil, right? If he's just all loving and doesn't have the power, what good is he? No offense, I guess, but there's a lot of different factors that lay claim to suggesting there's a lot more that needs to be said and done that has not been said and done by the creator of the universe, by the creator of the human species, by, for whatever case, the thing that gave us this conscious experience to give us free will, to then force us to fight to figure out that he's a real thing. I don't know. But in regards to death, I am curious to understand that feeling of the fear. I like to say I don't fear it, but like obviously I wouldn't want to die right now. I'm more suggesting like when I hit 85 and older, I feel like I'll be comfortable enough to say, okay, I'm ready to go. And I think I'll be comfortable suggesting that, well, I can't fear it because I won't be experiencing it. There is no experience to fear. There is just nothing. The only fear is when you're here. The only ever fear you can fear of death is when you're alive. So why fear it? You can't actually live in the moment of actual fear unless you're burning in eternal hell. Then yeah, fear it. Be scared of it, I suppose. Not I suppose, that would actually suck a lot. But to suggest that we should, not suggest, but to grasp onto the fear of death in the present moment of the life you are living, that you can have a full, loving, exciting life. You're worried about something that is going to come and go, and you will not feel that fear. There's almost zero necessity to feel that fear, because you won't be able to experience the actual cause of that fear. You will experience death, but death is not scary. The act of just not existing and experiencing memories is scary, but you only have that because you're existing. You don't have that because you're not existing. You have it because you are existing. So you're almost fearful of existing to begin with, because you're experiencing this lovely life we live just to have it all end. But that's the beauty of life, is that it does come to an end. Everything good must come to an end. This was just a random rant because I thought about it, and I thought about that talk, and I wanted to kind of dive into it a little bit too on the religious aspect. But yeah, a little bit of fear of death for you.